DanielWDrezner, The Ideas Industry, How Pessimists, Partisans, and Plutocrats Are Transforming the Marketplace of Ideas. In The Ideas Industry, author DanielWDrezner dives into the transformation of the marketplace of ideas, where policymakers and scholars share and debate their recommendations on various public policy issues. Drezner examines the roles and impacts of public intellectuals, thought leaders, and private sector thinkers on this evolving landscape. By identifying criticisms including materialist, defeatist, pessimist, and nostalgic viewpoints, he reveals the complexities and challenges within the ideas industry. As you explore this summary, you will gain insight into the erosion of trust in public figures, the influence of wealth and power in politics, and the impact of the private sector on policy recommendations.
The power of thought leaders and public intellectuals. The marketplace of ideas welcomes experts who propose policies, ideas, and reports on various fields, including foreign affairs. However, the difference between public intellectuals and thought leaders is evident. While the former critiques and modifies existing ideas, the latter has a specific understanding of the world and promotes it widely. Both have a crucial role in shaping public debates, with thought leaders bringing speed and passion to the table, while public intellectuals provide reason and a broader perspective. Together, they create a robust and dynamic marketplace of ideas that fosters critical thinking and innovation. Criticism of ideas industry. The four criticisms of the ideas industry are materialism, defeatism, pessimism, and nostalgia. However, the absoluteness of these arguments hides their internal flaws. The erosion of confidence in authorities and expertise is a trend in the new ideas industry. The materialist argument forgets that ideas can enter the market and bring about change. The defeatist position ignores the benefits of new platforms that allow a broader group of intellectuals to speak. Meanwhile, the nostalgic argument overlooks the fact that a public forum always contended with many voices, and only the best endure in history. In summary, American attitudes toward intellectuals have always fluctuated, and the current disdain and resentment are unlikely to last. Erosion of trust leads to greater polarization. Trust in public institutions declined significantly in the latter half of the 20th century, shaking the faith of citizens in the government, schools, and religious institutions. With the loss of confidence in authority figures, public intellectuals struggle to gain audience trust, as listeners tend to rely on personal experience when evaluating arguments presented by thought leaders. The erosion of trust has contributed to greater polarization, with common ideologies serving as the basis for connection and knowledge becoming irrelevant. This has been further exacerbated by the media, with cable networks catering to specific political views, enabling people to avoid criticism of their beliefs and only hear confirmation. The idea industry has grown as networks require more intellectuals to represent specific positions. The speakers themselves are also less likely to change their stances for fear of losing their audience or platform. This has resulted in inflexible attitudes and the increasing influence of opinion over facts, further compounding the problem of polarization in society. Influence of wealth on politics. Wealthy individuals have a disproportionate influence on politics. In the 2016 U.S. presidential election, over half of campaign contributions came from only 160 families. Super PACs also received 40% of their funding from only 50 families. Despite 87% of the public supporting better education funding, only 35% of wealthy Americans agree. Silicon Valley political advocates tend to believe that policy challenges are like faulty code to be hacked rather than being reformed. Politicians and public intellectuals find it challenging to disagree with the ideas of wealthy donors who actively participate in political parties and think tanks. Total disruption finds favor with big donors who believe in individual efforts rather than supportive public structures. Language, popularity, and influence. The ideas industry delves into the language that popular opinion influencers and academics use to gain a foothold in the market of ideas, their reasonings for and against it. In the ideas industry, academics are often criticized for their inability to simplify their jargon and express their ideas in a way the general public can comprehend. This act is seen as a failure of these academics to penetrate the market and gain influence. Conversely, popular opinion influencers, or thought leaders, prioritize easily digestible ideas that can be marketed quickly and successfully. However, there is a risk of these ideas being too shallow, rendering them unviable in the long term. Political scientists and economists are two groups that engage in the marketplace of ideas, but criticisms are common in interpreting their models. Economists, on the other hand, garner more clout with their focus on Pareto optimization, a means of support that betters some individuals with little harm to others. Lastly, politicians have incentives dissimilar to that of market participants, and their actions serve the interests of individuals rather than an overarching rationale. Financial influence on think tanks. Think tanks with donor dependencies receive significant funding while presenting pre-biased ideas. From the 20th century to present, these institutions have evolved from aiding partisanship to advocating set political positions. Following financial constraints after 2008, U.S. think tanks now rely on temporary individual donations and foreign funding. Private sector ideas are still well received in national security debates. The power of private think tanks. Private institutions offer intellectual insights on a for-profit basis, but are their analyses reliable? The term BRICS derived from a marketing ploy by a Goldman Sachs employee, which later turned into a political buzzword. Consulting firms gained power by marketing policies, winning large clients, and claiming thought leadership. Even political risk analysts turned into marketable players in the existing discourse. Those thought leaders and consultants who focus on disruption, self-empowerment, and entrepreneurialism come out on top in this milieu. Though many believe that political risk analyses are purely superficial and subjective, private think tanks still thrive. Clients are persuaded by anecdotal and private data offered by think tank professionals with corporate affiliations. Corporate clients prefer easily understandable, optimistic presentations of economic trends. After all, isn't human nature drawn towards positive thinking? However, private think tanks are not entirely free of problems. Lack of professional networks or comprehensive best practices can lead to weak proposals. Yet, these think tanks offer an edge by providing swift and dynamic reporting to clients. Furthermore, they seem to have an appeal among conservatives, who express skepticism towards academic and public think tanks, frequently viewed as liberal. Lastly, the new era of privatized think tanks highlights the weight of authority. When marketing a policy, it is crucial to have the status of recognized and legitimated authority. The pitfalls of public intellectuals. Public intellectuals are often sought after for their insights on foreign policy and economics. However, the Alman-Lippmann consensus suggests that the public may not have the best judgment in these matters. Public intellectuals may achieve brand name recognition and earn high speaking fees, but they must constantly work to maintain their reputations. Appearing in public limits their research and can lead to errors, and dependence on research assistants. Young scholars may be tempted to seek public speaking opportunities before they are ready, and social media can provide valuable feedback but also create a negative atmosphere. Anonymity online leads to trolling and harassment, which can make public intellectuals less willing to engage in discourse or listen to criticism. Despite these challenges, public intellectuals continue to use Twitter and blogs to cultivate awareness and dialogue. Better public discourse. The online idea marketplace needs a slower and more thoughtful debate to encourage better public discourse. Private sector funding can negatively impact creativity, so supporting universities and think tanks with funding will give intellectuals the financial backing to explore new ideas without commercial expectations. Diversifying voices and perspectives may not directly address issues within the industry, but it will expand discourse and benefit the marketplace.
The ideas industry provides a comprehensive analysis of the current state of the marketplace for ideas, shedding light on the roles of public intellectuals, thought leaders, and private sector influences. The book highlights the erosion of trust in public figures, the polarization of political ideologies, and the financial sway of plutocrats. It emphasizes the need for a more inclusive and comprehensive dialogue involving diversified perspectives to overcome the shortcomings of the current system. Implementing well-considered recommendations, such as slower online debates and greater endowments for universities and think tanks, can help restore the integrity and richness of the ideas industry and foster more meaningful debates around public policies.